This week on Health, when heavy-handed politics and medicine don't mix. In Pakistan, the Taliban blocks vaccinations in the tribal belt.
The people behind those vaccination campaigns are not Muslims. They are from foreign governments, and they are our true enemies.
Next, the health of France's Roma population. Their right to care is being trumped by forced evictions and expulsions.
When the police come, they evict us, and we have no choice but to miss our doctor's appointment.
And in the United States, pro-life groups hold sway in Texas abortion laws.
The idea is to make the woman feel guilty or ashamed.
At any given time, the French city of Nantes is home to as many as 1,000 Roma, or otherwise known as gypsies. They live in sites like this, with poor hygiene, few sanitation facilities and limited access to water. In theory, these fellow EU citizens have the right to healthcare here in France, but in reality, forced evictions and expulsions make access to care an obstacle course that few can manage to navigate. This morning, Mariana only has a short journey from her Roma camp in the outskirts of Nantes. Her little boy is sick, but she's not going to the doctor. The doctor has come to her.
Has your nose been running?
Giuseppe has a fever. The nurse prescribes painkillers while a mediator helps to translate the instructions.
He should only take it if he has a fever.
This van run by Médecins du Monde stops here twice per week, regularly inundated with requests.
It's really good that they help us, that they come here to see us, and then treat us for free.
100 metres from here lies the Roma camp, where 14 families have been living since the month of July. No running water and little to no heating. Now they've just learnt they'll soon be evicted. This family shows us the notice. For them, staying here is crucial for their son, who has to travel frequently to the hospital for operations.
We've already missed 2 important appointments with the doctor because we were evicted. We explained to the police that we had an urgent meeting that we couldn't miss, but they weren't interested, and so we didn't turn up.
Fanny, as mediator, helps as much as she can with appointments and paperwork. Here in France, the Roma population has a right to healthcare. But as she's seen time and time again, the evictions make access difficult.
To improve their access to care, to ensure that they remain in good health, the most important thing is stability. This means ending repeated evictions from camps like this one, which really puts people at risk.
This hospital in the centre of Nantes is accustomed to patients missing appointments. Already this morning, one mother we'd arranged to follow hasn't turned up. Instead, we meet the Lavia family, who has travelled more than 1 hour for today's consultation. Here, the hospital has a service for the socially disadvantaged, homeless, paperless and often Roma, who tend to have a particular type of health problem.
The difference with Roma is that their illness is at a later stage because this population in general hasn't received care, or because they've waited too long and the disease is now more advanced, often with complications.
Today's appointment is for 2-month-old Janine. The consultation won't cost her mother a cent, but she doesn't know if Janine can make the next one or the one after that. The authorities have also issued her and her family with an eviction notice. Areski is one of a growing minority in the world. At 30 years of age, he's being treated for polio, a disease he contracted as a baby in Algeria.
I have what you could describe as muscular difficulties. My muscles function at around 1 or 2 in 5, so I find it hard to move around normally.
Today he's undergoing rehabilitation after several operations on his right leg. Thanks to a vaccine, the last new case of indigenous polio was reported in France in 1989, and around the rest of the world the disease has almost been eradicated.
Unfortunately, in certain countries, the vaccination is not implemented. So there's still 3 epidemics in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. And until we eradicate polio in these countries, we can't say we've beaten the disease.
In Pakistan, however, politics is playing havoc after the Taliban banned vaccinations in certain tribal regions. There's fears that the anti-polio campaign could be used as cover for America's CIA operations, and it wouldn't be the first time. This next report from France 24's correspondents in Pakistan.
The main bus station of Islamabad, one of the transit points between the capital city and the rest of the country. Karine and Mohammed have chosen the strategic crossroad to vaccinate children.
This child must be vaccinated. He's under 5.
These parents, coming from a remote province, will be the only ones this afternoon accepting to have their baby immunized against polio. Most Pakistanis are suspicious of these drops of serum.
We don't force children to take the serum drops. It always ends up in a fight with the parents. They ask, what's in this vaccine? Why do you give it to him and not to another one? And they think it has no effect.
The Shakil Afridi affair is responsible for this climate of suspicion. At the beginning of 2011, the Pakistani doctor had been asked by the CIA to organize a false vaccination campaign in order to collect bin Laden's DNA. The Taliban had forbidden vaccination in the tribal zones and threatened to kill the medical teams. In order to restore the confidence of the population, the government called on Benazir Bhutto's daughter. The young anti-polio ambassador was the first child in Pakistan to be vaccinated in the 70s.
They're trying to convince people that the Americans have done this purely to attack Pakistani children, and it causes all sorts of other diseases. And they're creating this fear amongst the people, and the people are scared naturally. And if they do accept these polio vaccines, what's to stop the militants from attacking them and killing them?
So, in the streets of the capital, the 2 health inspectors step up their efforts to convince those who are reluctant. But even here, many doors remain closed. In this town, polio, absent for years, has reappeared. Many inhabitants refuse the vaccine provided by the UN.
Giving wrong medicine, it's a shame. Those children will be handicapped for life.
The 2 inspectors insist on introducing us to a school headmaster who won't have his own children vaccinated. He is an influential mullah of a neighborhood. He refuses to face the camera for religious reasons, and he justifies his beliefs in a way the medical teams have heard often enough.
The people behind those vaccination campaigns are not Muslims. They are from foreign governments, and they are our true enemies. The proof is that the doctor who invented the vaccine is a Jew.
Those beliefs are rampant among the population. There were 42 new cases of polio this year in Pakistan, a vast majority in the tribal zones where 400,000 children have not yet been vaccinated.
Each year, 1,000 women come to this clinic in Paris to end their pregnancy. Half of them choose a medical procedure, the other half take an abortion pill. Right now in France, up to 80% of the cost is covered by the state, but as of next year, 100% will be reimbursed. The decision has caused little debate.
Today in France, no one really dares say that they're against abortion. It's a reality.
In the United States, President Barack Obama has been pushing for a similar policy, but unlike France, the issue is proving a political tug of war. Among his staunchest critics are pro-life campaigners in the state of Texas, home to some of the toughest abortion laws in the world. Their doctors are forced to show or describe ultrasound images to pregnant women in what is essentially a bid to change their mind.
Hello, is it me?
In this Texas clinic, this young woman is determined to have an abortion. Her doctor isn't the one getting in the way, but a new law passed in the state. Doctors must now show or describe an ultrasound of the fetus to the pregnant woman.
There, bottom, there's a heartbeat there, you can see the pulsing there.
If the woman still wants to go through with the procedure, the doctor is then obliged to read a long text aimed to finally deter her.
This is anti-abortion groups who have implemented this, and the idea is to make the woman feel guilty or ashamed so that she will not do what she's decided is best for her and her family.
This young woman listens to the fetus's heartbeat, but it doesn't change her mind.
You know, I know it's living, which I already do know, but I don't want to bring a baby into the world that I can't afford to take care of.
Like every day, anti-abortion activists take turns standing outside the clinic. They're forbidden to approach patients at the clinic's doors, but they're still becoming increasingly influential. They helped push through 92 new state restrictions last year that make it more difficult to abort.
There's no doubt about it's killing. Absolutely. It is killing.
Outside the clinic there are surveillance cameras. Inside, security badges are needed to open every door. Protecting the women as well as the doctors who perform the abortions is necessary. 8 have been murdered in the US in the past 20 years.
We get harassment, death threats. We have picketers constantly. They try to intimidate us. They take photographs, they post them on the websites.
Popular US radio host and ultra-conservative Rush Limbaugh isn't afraid to weigh in on the moral issue. With 20 million listeners every day, his influence is paramount. This is how he treated a young woman who asked the US Congress to subsidise the pill for students.
It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex.
It's a subject at the heart of the US presidential campaign. The 2 White House candidates have opposing views on abortion. Mitt Romney wants to revoke the landmark decision of the Supreme Court, Roe against Wade, dating back to 1973, which legalised abortion in all US states. He's in favour of a ban on abortion across the country, except in cases of rape, incest or risk of life or health of a mother. Barack Obama supports the right to choose. For the father of 2 girls, politics should not interfere with a woman's decision.
All governments have a responsibility for the health of their peoples. That's according to the World Health Organization. But as we've just seen, politics by its very nature can interfere negatively with health outcomes, and it's not always clear when or where to draw the line. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Thanks for joining us here on France 24. We look forward to seeing you, as always, next time.